Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Mindset Monday. We are so excited today. I'm Shelley Butler.
I'm Yves Doucet.
And this is Cate Collins. We are so excited. Welcome, Cate. Yes. Cate is all about kind of what we're all about. You know, the leadership and how leadership really can play a great role within your company without being that dictatorship. So Cate wrote The Powerhouse in You. I love the title. How to lead with greater resilience, courage, and confidence. Right? Don't we all want to do that?
Well, we're trying. I'm hoping we're trying for it, right?
Absolutely. And it was really exciting. I actually pre-ordered 2 of your books.
Oh, that's nice.
Eve.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas Eve. So excited. When do you expect it to be? When do you expect it to be released?
Oh no, it's released now. So actually, people can go to my website, Powerful Journey, www.powerfuljourney.com, and then they can get a signed copy from me from the printed.
That's what I ordered.
Did you order that?
I did, but it didn't go to the credit card. FYI.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, no, it goes to my assistant, and then so it goes into my system.
Oh, yes. And she'll get a hold of me for payment.
When did you do it?
Like an hour ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's just not working yet. That's all. She's a young mom. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you will definitely get it. So she'll send you an invoice and it'll all be taken care of, and we'll give you some signed copies. So shh, Eve, cover your ears because it sounds like one of them was for you.
We are big readers. I'm looking forward to reading your book. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful.
Eve reads a lot of books.
Yeah, a few.
Good for you.
So, can you, what got you started in this, like journey?
Mm-hmm.
Can you answer, like, what is like the fire in your belly?
The fire in my belly.
That you have to like tackle this huge problem that we have in the workplace today, like, you know, anxiety and loss of engagement, and people aren't connecting, you know, it's a big problem. It's even worse now that we're all working from home, right? And you know, the possible loss of innovation and creativity because we're not connecting, right? We're distancing ourselves, right? So Zoom is good, but it's not like, it doesn't replace human connection in a way. Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Or can it? Maybe it can. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think you got a lot of things in there. Just let me have a sip of my coffee. These were good questions.
Start with the belly.
So first, I guess what's the belly part? So for me, really is that, you know, I was an executive director many moons ago. And then also for myself, I was a family children's counselor for almost 15 years. And so for myself, it was really, quite frankly, I experienced my own burnout. And, you know, back then it wasn't all that popular. It wasn't sexy for sure. You know, my doctor, you know, said, well, wouldn't it be great if we could all take time off? And my boss slammed the door and skidded out of the parking lot. So there was no hug happening there. But so it wasn't really something that you talked about, you know, that, you know, hey, I'm shelled out. I've given. And, you know, part of the awareness through my own therapy, to be transparent, is that, you know, I was a chameleon. I was wanting to be all things to all people. And I think as a leader, it's a trap that we can get into where, you know, in this case, I had a board of directors. You have all these different people in your life that you're wanting to serve, you're wanting to take care of. And then if you're on the list, or then, you know, oftentimes you get the leftovers, and certainly your family can as well. And so what I find is that in our society that we tend to be, we can hide ourselves in work, you know, so again, I've authored different things, different resources, a couple of lost MP3s about death and another one about estranged relationships. And one of the things I found during that research was that it's easy for us to get lost in our work so that we don't have to deal with what's really right in front of us, whether it's a relationship that needs mending, whether it's in the workplace or whether it's at home. So the tendency is just to not feel. And so we really want to, let's do that. I mean, we really support the, oh yeah, I binged on Netflix. And don't get me wrong, been there, done it. But we really are this society that's big on let's escape. So I think that's number one, is my own experience of burnout. I really wanted to make sure that I could connect with other leaders to let them know, hey, I want you to prevent this same outcome, or give them some signs of what to look for if they're heading down that path, or perhaps if they're there, and to know that there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's really more about, where can you get the support that you need. And the other piece that you were saying there is that, around the disengagement. I mean, before, when you think about it, years ago, right, as an employee, it was very clear. It was an unspoken rule that you checked your personal life outside the building, outside the office. And now we've got more of an integrated employee coming in. Now, lots of people could probably get into a debate about whether that's good or bad. From my perspective, I think it's actually very good, because then you're dealing with the whole person rather than just a part of them. And what we know is that 73% of employees, their stress is really about family issues. So, there's an elephant in the room. So let's deal with it. So, and I think that all of your employees, for example, have the resiliency tools and strategies on how to cope and meet life on life's terms. I think it's pretty unrealistic. So to be able to provide them with some concrete tools on how to meet those challenges is really important. And that really, in many ways, was the birth of my book. So while everybody was baking bread and all of that, and darn it, I did at one time bake bread, but I really ended up just losing myself in the whole writing process, because I just felt like I was, the deer kind of just going, I'm just focusing here, and I'm going to step away from the media and all of the things that are going to distract me, because I felt like that was the fire in my belly. This is the time. People need to know that they've already got a powerhouse in them. I had a few leaders say, well, Kate, I don't want to be a powerhouse leader. That just sounds so aggressive. And I said, oh my goodness, that's the last thing I'm trying to say. I happen to be a certified Pilates instructor. And one of the things we talk about is your core. Everything is about, it comes from your core. It comes from this place within you. And that's how I feel about Powerhouse, is that all of us have this innate ability to be resilient, to be confident, to be courageous. And I'm confident if people look back into their lives and the times when they had the biggest struggles, that there was resilience, there was courage, there was confidence. And so what I've created is my 4 rooms framework, just to keep it simple. And truthfully, in my presentations, my sweet spot actually is my retreats for teams and leaders. And I get hired a lot for virtual training. And so what I found is that, I think all of us just want someone to come and say, yeah, you know what, this is real. This stress is real. These challenges are real. And most importantly, you can rise above it. You've got what it takes. You've already done some really great things over here, but what do? We throw out the very things that we need most. And maybe it's that walk in the morning. Maybe it's drinking that 8 glasses of water. Maybe it's getting to bed at a good time. And so I think that, we just need to be reminded of who we are.
I have so many questions, but I don't want to take all the time, Shelley. Like, do you want to go for the next question, and then now we'll go for the next question? I have so many like, first of all, I just want to tell you, like, I try to make bread, like sourdough bread, and I lost a baby, so like that was it for the bread. So I went back to, like, I'm not gonna make bread. So
I made spelt flour bread, and I'm telling you, it showed up this big.
Yeah, the baby died. Like, it's like,
right?
So we're like a pancake.
Mine rose beautifully, but if anybody had have gotten hit by it on the way to the garbage can, they would have died because it was so heavy. I swear. I found a really good baker in town, and we don't need to do the things that others do really well, right? So
absolutely, that's part of good leadership.
We try to be everything to everybody, and you certainly cannot be everything to everybody. Even I had this conversation last Monday, actually, about, I think there is some change on the horizon for this. I think people are understanding that saying no into the areas that they're not really good at is becoming a little more of a thing where people are being okay with that. Now, if they could translate that into our school system, if you're not great at math, maybe you don't need a whole lot of math. Maybe we have to find out what you're really good at. So when these kids get out of school, they know in grade 12 already. They've already got the 10,000 hours in, if that is, do you know what I mean?
I think that's what Kate is saying. In a way, she's saying, like, when you're trying to please everyone, and this is like, I never thought about it that way. And I went through a little bit of a, like, just a little bit of a depression, just a bit, 10 years of it, something like that. So anyway, I feel that, like, but was it that I was trying to please everyone? And then you talked about like the core, like, you know, and we are like our organization, Dovaco, we organize love. That's what we do. And love is a core, right? So when you're trying to please everyone, you're leading not from the core, but from the extremities, from a place of weakness, instead of like from the core. And I'm not talking about making it all about you, right? What I'm talking about is like, what do you love to do? Is that what you're saying? And start from the core of that, and then deliver that to the people you love, right?
Totally agree. Absolutely. And I think sometimes too, it's a good point. Sometimes I think that we need to give ourselves reality checks to say, you know what, I can't perform like, again, as a great leader, it's also being authentic and being able to say, you know what, I'm not on my A game today. You know, I've just got some bad news, or, you know, my health isn't quite right, or whatever. I mean, sometimes, again, you don't have to tell them what it is, but it's just to give yourself permission to say, sometimes your B+ is really an A, because you're doing the best you can. But the tendency is, because I do a lot of coaching, leadership coaching, is that there's this push all the time with leaders that they still expect the same from themselves, even though their kid's out on crack, or, you know, that, you know, there's something happening within their relationship, or, you know, those kinds of things. And it's about really taking a step back and saying, okay, would I treat my close friend this way? Of course I wouldn't. So then I need to then treat myself with much more compassion, because, you know, I believe it starts with us as leaders and it ends with us as leaders. So I need to walk my talk. I can't just keep telling all my stuff. Oh, take care of yourself, take breaks, say no when you need to. When meanwhile, I'm working through my lunch, and they're seeing that, you know, you're sending an email out at 4 a.m. Oh, that just works for me. Oh, does it really work for you at 4 a.m.? Like, so I think, again, we need to really take a look at our own. We know this, if either of you are parents, or any of your viewers are parents, is that it's not oftentimes what we say, it's how we act that our children follow suit. And it's the same thing. I use that a lot in the book around, I use the family systems approach from my family counseling background, in that as the leader, in many ways, you're much like a parent. And I'm not in any way, you know, talking down to the employees or anything else, but they're looking to you to lead them. And it's much like a family system. And so that has to be a really safe place for them, to be able to see that, you know, you're going to have an off day, to see that you need to say, I'm sorry, I didn't show my best self there. You know, I didn't like the tone of voice I used. That wasn't okay, because that's real. That's real.
So Kate, how do you like catch yourself? Like, because like, that's the thing, right? Like we get down, like we get up on our high horse and we think we're all that, and plus some more stuff, we put our suit on and we go in life pretending, right? So how do you, like, what tactics or tricks or things or whatever, what in your life that you could help us and our listeners, like what kind of things could we use to catch ourselves that we're about to send that email at 4 o'clock in the morning? Right. Like it's like when you're in the fire of sending it, you just send it. Like you woke up, I gotta send an email to Shelley right now.
Right.
So what do you do?
It's a good thing. A good question. So I think the big thing is pause. We need to slow down and ask ourselves, how important is for me to do this right now? How important is this for me to do this right now? You know, and is this necessary? You've probably heard of the think, you know, I've seen this go around social media. Is it thoughtful? Is it honest? You know, is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it necessary? And is it kind? You know, so sometimes we need to zip it, particularly for type A people, which, by the way, I would be one of those. I have to, because I get into a role, you know, and I'm cooking, and I have to remind myself the rest of the world doesn't operate like that. So it's about making that head and the heart connection. And so when you ask, how do you do it? Well, the big thing for me is, we had to put our four-legged baby down at Thanksgiving, but prior, he would get my butt outside. And so he kind of like, let's go now. No, now I got to go now. And so, for me, it's taking the breaks throughout the day to be able to get ourselves grounded. That's part of the pause for me. It's about allowing ourselves to take a breath. It's allowing ourselves to say, you know what, my lower back is telling me something. My body's giving me a cue. I can't sit in this chair for, this many hours and not expect some pain. So I think it's really about us taking more breaks, getting with our breath, getting more present. And one of the things I say a lot is wherever you are, be there.
So do you find, when you do that, do you find yourself going into this narrative of like, I'm lazy, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm not enough? You find yourself doing that?
Well, I think that can certainly come up. I think that certainly the inner critic can come up. I was very fortunate to be handpicked to train with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and the Success Principles author. And he talked a lot about transforming that inner critic to become your best inner coach. So part of the thing is I've kind of summarized it to that when that inner critic comes in, I ask myself the question, what is it you want me to know? And what is it you want me to do? So if the inner critic's saying, oh, you're a lazy bum, or what are you doing? Oh my gosh, like it's 3 PM, your clients are still out there, you got customers, like get the hustle going. What is it you want me to know? Well, I just think that you're going to miss out on an opportunity, but am I really? If I take 15 minutes, do you think that I would miss in 15 minutes? This will breathe life into me. And then, so oftentimes I'm a huge fan of that when that message gets in there, sometimes we just need to do the reality check with it and just ask it. What is it you want me to know? And what is it you want me to do?
You're good.
Absolutely. I get down into I do warrior too. So you're talking, you had mentioned that you do,
Pilates.
Pilates. Yeah, I love Pilates. So Eve and I are both certified in yoga instructors.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so you're speaking our language.
Oh, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, when you're talking about breath and for us, core is all about stability. And for us, and it was James Rouse who actually said, do you really need that, that thing? Do you really need to send that email? Do you really need to go in that fridge and have that extra whatever? Do a warrior two and just take a moment, right? Take a breath.
Remember that? What would love to? He would ask like James Rouse, one of our friends, is an author, like a great human being. And he would say, before you do something, this is his tactic, right? Like the thing he does, he would say, before I do something, I'd say, what would love do? What would love do now? Yeah. Like love for yourself, love for the person. Like what is this like that's the way that was his kind of way to tackle the inner critic. Yeah. What would love do now?
See, with my chiropractor, what he would say, and I've used that in the book as well, is that what would I choose in this moment if I loved myself? What would I choose? The key word is choose, right? Sometimes we're on autopilot and we forget, wait a minute, I have a choice. So if what I'm about to do, what kind of impact, how will this impact my team? How will this impact my organization when I send out that email at 4 AM or I do whatever it is? How will that be received? And again, oftentimes, for example, when I'm going in to do training with companies and organizations, that's a big theme for the frontline people or their teams is that, you know what, I'm getting these emails at this obscure hour. And I know they're saying it's just how they work best, but I feel so guilty when I take a break. I feel so guilty I take lunch.
Kate, it's not stable. It really, they do not feel any stability in that. And that's why I talk about the stability of it. I believe as a leader with the 35 Dovaconians that we have in-house is as long as they know that I have their back, they understand there's some stability in that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Working that core and making sure that our foundation is really solid. So when I say you have ownership to your product, I never go in and micromanage, right? They always know if they make a decision that is not perhaps the decision that they really wanted to make, whatever, we'll work it out.
Right.
How bad can it really be?
Right.
And that is, that's, some of the things that we do at Dovico. We allow people to have ownership. We don't just speak about it, take that project, do whatever you want. What kind of budget do you need? And we really only have their back if they need us, right? So
Beautiful.
I realized this year, for the first year ever, that my silence is truly golden.
Mm-hmm.
The less I wait, it's super powerful. And I didn't realize it, right? I thought that really I had to kind of throw a little bit of power out there, right? For some reason, I felt like maybe I needed to be stoic and show them that I have the ability to do that. It was really only my narrative saying, Shelley, you're not smart enough to be the CEO. Right. So I had to really reel back and understand that this change that was coming in my life, and it really wasn't a huge change, COO to CEO, but bottom line, it caught, what's that?
A whole letter.
It was a whole letter. So, but that change caused me a little bit, it put me off balance.
Right.
Balance. And I had to go back to the teachings.
So let me just say that then, Shelley, that's beautiful that you have that awareness, because that's what I talk about is the 3 A's. So I have to have the awareness of what's going on in me. I need to acknowledge that, hey, I'm human too, so even though I'm a leader, I'm still human. And so even making that shift has done some disruption within me. And then the final A is, what action steps am I going to take to have a different result? I mean, one of the things that Jack always talks about is we have 3 primary limiting beliefs. Is I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, or I'm not smart enough. And so what happens for all of us is that there's one that we land on. So I think you alluded to being, I'm not smart enough, right? So to have that awareness just breathes life, right? Into the idea, okay, so now what I want to do with that, is that true? Is that true that I'm not smart enough? And then, you play it all out. And so then it's like, wait a minute here. Like, yeah, I'm the COO. I mean, of course it's a natural progression for me, but again, it's the change. It's about the change. Human condition is such that we can resist change. Some people do it really well. They invite it, they welcome it. But at the same time, like I've met those people as well, but that they have the same breakfast every day for whatever, 15 years. And that's fine too. It's just that I think we all have areas where we shine with change. And then there's other areas we go, oh my gosh, please, no, I'm not ready for this, right? So I think it's being tuned in. And with my 4 rooms framework, that all came from, I actually connected with a beautiful Indigenous friend of mine. I'd done a meditation class, and he had said, I was explaining to him, I've relocated to this area and I'm a trainer and a coach and retreat facilitator. And I said, I just don't know, I don't know where to go with all this. I'm reinventing myself. And he said, Kate, in our tribe, that we believe very strongly that in order for us to have that sense of balance, in order for us to really be grounded, in order for us to step into our purpose and our power, we need to enter each of these 4 rooms every day. And so what I did was I tweaked them, because again, using my fitness background, being, of course, your mentally fit room, your emotionally fit room, your physically fit room, and your spiritually fit room. And, the simplicity of it, and we know that through yoga and Pilates, sometimes it's the most simple things that can have the greatest impact, and I think that, for a lot of us, getting back to what you were saying, Yves, it's that what are some of the ways in which we can stop ourselves or pause? I think it's because we need to just ask ourselves, okay, which room have I not checked into? I'm not sleeping great at night. What's happening?
Is that your second A, awareness, ask, and what's
awareness, acknowledgement, and then action. So the acknowledgement is really a place of permission to be able to say, what, if I knew better, I would have done better, right? So that's the other piece, right? Is that sometimes we want to beat ourselves down, like, why didn't I do this earlier? Or why did I let the depression kick in? Or why did I do this? And it's like, well, hey, you know what? You're in this place now. What's good about it? And how can we learn from it? Because it's always about what can we learn?
You don't know what you don't know.
Right? So I don't have the questions, but I don't even know what the questions are. So Well, why didn't you get a mentor or get a therapist or whatever? Well, I didn't even know I was in the midst of the trees. I didn't even realize that I was in trouble.
Yeah.
I had a little bonfire going and I didn't realize I should have had the whole fire department there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have so many questions. 4 minutes, is that what you're saying? No.
No, I was just going to say, you mentioned a couple times the 4 rooms, so I just heard them. Can we go through the 4 rooms again?
Sure. So it's your mentally fit room,
Mentally
your
fit.
emotionally fit room,
Yeah.
your physically fit room, and your spiritually fit room. So with your mentally fit room, for example, because that's the one that most people get tripped up on.
Yeah.
And I have them in that order for a reason, because it starts here, it ends up, we're feeling it. And then it manifests in our bodies if we're not in check with it, of course. And of course, it erodes, it can really disconnect us, which is what you alluded to earlier, Yves. There can be a real disconnect, from our spirit, from whatever you believe in, our own personal spirit, universe, God, higher power, whatever. But the mentally fit room really is about, I'm a huge fan of how you start your day creates your day. So, each morning, I meditate. I'm big on that. It might be 5 minutes, and I have more. I have so many audiences that say, but Kate, I can't do it. Don't make me do it. And I say, but wait a minute, you're meditating on your problems already. So what we want to do is shift that into just allowing yourself just to, you can't empty the thoughts. It's just, you're trying to help quiet your mind. A good friend of mine is a former Buddhist monk, and he reminds me that, Kate, we can't empty our minds like people think. And here I did it for days and hours. You can't. The other thing, and I want to say this before it's important I don't forget it, and this is huge, this connects also to the emotionally fit room, is that at the core of all of us, we need to feel that we're safe. Yeah. So that's one of the things I talk a lot about, is that, saying that mantra, I am safe. So when we feel anxious, when we feel afraid, when we feel like, oh, I'm so in over my head, or my inner critic has come in and I'm feeling not smart enough, not good enough, not, worthy enough. It's just like, I am safe. I am safe. Everything is going to be okay.
I love that. Like, we're both meditators. So
oh, beautiful.
All 3 of us, which is, I think we should just confess to everyone that we are meditators.
Yes.
Huge in morning routine. I get up, I have my daily mantra. I am a lion, not a sheep. I say it aloud 3 times in bed, very early in the morning, pisses my husband off, whatever. He's been dealing with it for years, right? So it's all good. Sometimes I'm louder than others, right? And so when you're in bed and you're hollering, I'm a lion, not a sheep, it can, I always found it a very comical way to start the day sometimes for him. Not always, he doesn't always find that so cool. And then I get up, I drink copious amounts of water, and I work out, sweaty workout, and I go into meditation.
Good for you.
Eve and I are actually in a program right now that we're being asked to meditate twice a day. I'm going to tell you that I'm finding that a little difficult, but even if it's only 5 minutes, I'm making sure that I do that.
Good for you.
Like you, Kate, we are very much all about our daily routine, our daily habits. We believe that those rituals will really give us the strength and the happiness to only find the joy. The joy in the things that, send us forward, right? And kind of give us a little bit more of a stable footing for the things that come up in the day. I didn't ever believe that I would be here. I didn't ever believe that I could get here. And I always say to people, everybody can get here.
For sure.
Right? Everybody can get to a point where they have rituals, routines in their lives. And I think it's so important, but more important than rituals and routines is to have that person. I think you need that person in your life, especially when you're a leader, that's going to say, man, you got to really be like slowing that ego down, girl, or you got to be a little more humble. Even I do that for each other. And I often say to leaders that reach out that are struggling is to find your person that you trust, that you love, that can work this with you. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right?
Mm-hmm. That's nice. I like that. And it's a very good point, Shelley. And I think, and the flip side of that is also nurture that relationship too, right? You know, I can remember working with an executive for a very large hospital, and she said, I don't understand it. Like, I have no idea why he left, Kate. And I said, oh, well, tell me more about it. And then, you know, she said, well, we never argued. We never fought. I don't understand it. So I said, well, let me get this straight. So you worked oftentimes 10, 12-hour days, correct? Yes, I did. Yeah. And then you said you came home and you brought your laptop home and then you worked at home. Uh-huh. Maybe he didn't feel like he was worth fighting for. So at some point we have to make sure we're also at what expense, right? And I think that, you know, that's the big thing, is making sure, and I'm sure that both of you are familiar with Dr. Gary Chapman's book called The 5 Love Languages. And I'm just a huge fan of his work. So the 5 love languages are, let's see, if I've only had one coffee, so let's just see if I remember them. So one is quality time. I'm giving you, so you don't have to get the book. No, probably get the book too. So a quality time, service, touch, hang on a second now, words of appreciation. And let me see the other one. So quality time, acts of service. Did I say service? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So acts of service. I did. Oh, acts of service. Gifts. The final one is gifts. So this is beautiful. So you could go to your loved ones. You could go to, and he's also got the book, The 5 Languages of Appreciation, which are for work, because obviously, you know, you don't want to be touching your people, but not in this day and age. I mean, certainly some you can hug.
We do, Kate. We do. We hug. Yeah, we're big huggers. We hug it out. Obviously with COVID when we're not around, but
that's what I was referring to as COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm a hugger too. I'm a total hugger. Yeah. So good for you. So in that one, so here's some homework for you and your viewers, because I think this is a brilliant one. Boy, I sure wish I had learned this early on. I think there would be less divorce in the world, but because usually what tends to happen is that we operate from our own love language and we wonder why the person isn't appreciating us. It's likely our love language. It's not theirs. So you can go to your spouse and say, you know, how do you know that I love you? And then they will answer in one of those 5. So I did this with, for example, with my son, you know, how do you know mommy loves you? This is when he was younger. Now he's 26. I can't pull off the mummy now, but, you know, it's just like, oh, well, mommy, you would drive, my friends, to all the volleyball games or take us to the movies or whatever. So he's basically, the service, right? So why is that important? Well, as his mom, when I put little love notes in and special treats, they're nice, but I'm not hitting the home run. When you think of the thermometer, he doesn't feel connected. Back to what you were saying, Yves, about the connection. He's not feeling the same connection because I'm not getting his love language. Now, when, like, even as an adult today, when he says, hey, mom, can you help me out here? I mean, obviously no is an important thing to say to our children too, but, I do my best to try to make sure that I do that, because why? He feels like I see him. He feels like I'm paying witness to him, and he feels connected and he feels loved. So with my daughter, it was like, how do you know that I love you? And then she, well, remember that time for New Year's, and you just noticed that I didn't have anything to wear, and you took me shopping and we got a nice top. And I said, so your love language is gifts. And she said, oh, I sound so materialistic. I said, no. It's not about how big the gift is. It's just that it could be simply that I got you a tea somewhere, or I got something that you could appreciate for you. And then when I went to my husband, I said, well, how do you know I love you? And he said, well, no matter how busy our life gets, you always take time out for you and I, even if it's 10 minutes in that day. So he's quality time. So when I know when he's getting cranky, she's downstairs, that I know that I have to tune in right away with, okay, have we built in some quality time to connect about our day, about what we're feeling, about what's going on. Seriously, it has saved so many relationships. So I thank you, Dr. Gary Chapman, for writing this book.
Good recommendation for a book. I've not read that book, actually.
I haven't either.
Really worth it. It's really worth getting.
Awesome.
I have a few more questions on the retreat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when I was recently in Mexico with my sisters and brother, we noticed that there was a lot of companies going there for retreats. And so I went there and I mingled with them, asked them questions about why they were there. And so most of the companies that were there, and I'm talking 50, maybe 75 employees kind of company, right? And even bigger sometimes, 100. And so they would go to these resort, right? But they didn't have any physical spaces anymore. So what they would do is go to a retreat. So they would go to this resort once a year so that they could connect, right? So, and like, to me, that's not exactly like, I don't know. I'm going to ask you, you're the retreat expert.
Okay.
And I'm looking like, as we are, like, because we have a nice office, there's a kitchen in there, there's a yoga room in there. Like, it's a nice, everybody's got their own office, but nobody's showing up anymore. So we're about to decide what we're going to do for this next thing. I'm really interested in finding out your perception, because you talk a lot about your retreats and what you're doing. Really, like, how should we restructure our connection places, right? Because we're about, like, with this COVID thing, we're about to go into this, like, this is not going away.
Not going
right?
away.
So the office as we know it today is not going to be the same office.
Right.
And there was always already changes with the office, like with the, Office 2.0 and that kind of stuff. There's already changes happening, right? People working from home. And there's I'm just curious to your, like, what do you think about all of this and where is it going? Yeah.
Okay, so good point. So again, the kind of retreats, although I have organized retreats, for example, in Costa Rica and Arizona, the typical retreats that I would be hired for would be like a golf course, that kind of thing. So, although the other ones were out of country, these ones are, so my belief system is this: you get people off site and I'm telling you, it changes. It just changes them. So and I'm not saying you have to take them to Mexico, but what I do believe is get them outside of their normal persona of who they are, how they show up in the world, and you are going to see a different human being. So again, I have done retreats in-house for people, and I just go, please don't do this to me. Put the extra money into a facility. And there's a difference. I see a difference with them, right? And I know, like you're saying, there's lots of organizations and companies that have beautiful venues, beautiful offices, but you see it's still that they're putting on that particular persona when they walk in the building. The other thing that I find is very impactful is if people really want to have a real shift with their organization, you need to let the leaders leave the room. So depending on, so I basically say, let's do the senior leaders in a retreat, and then let's work with your frontline people separately. Because if I'm sitting next to my boss, you think I'm going to say my kid's acting out or my marriage is falling apart or whatever? I'm not going to do that. They're going to think that I'm incompetent, that I'm not up for the challenge of the job or what we're dealing with, right? Or year end, month end, whatever. So I think that there is, from my experience of 20 years plus doing retreats, there is huge impact when they physically get off site. Now, obviously the world has changed, as you've indicated. So it's a different landscape right now. So some of the things we're doing, like for example, with my book, is I've got companies that are hiring me and saying, Kate, I'm going to send you the written note special to each of my people. I want you to sign your book, but put their name on it. And I want you to give them a message and then sign it. And then I want you to put my card. And so we're doing things like special Zen tea. We're doing different things. So it's like a little care package that they're going to receive. Then they're hiring me to do virtual training, almost like a book club, where we're going to now go through the book with each of the rooms, but make it very customized to what they're experiencing. So I agree with you. We need to up our game in organizations and companies and say, how do I get them to connect? It's just now different, but I still think we can do the connection. Ideally, hugs are the best. Ideally, the physical connection is the best.
For a while.
Right? So now I have had, like, people are being hired. Like I've got, organizations that are doing the 6 feet apart. So they're still having people like me come in, right? It's a different experience, but they get to physically see their people. I think that we need to get creative on, break time at such and such. How about we're all going to go for a walk. We're all going to have our headset on. Let's take a walk. Or we need to check in and give do something in the chat or in the email that says, hey, took my 15-minute walk break or did whatever. So what we're doing now is we're creating some accountability, some connection, but it's also about well-being. So we're depositing into our employees in a way that we're saying, for example, some organizations that I work for, they would normally pay for gym memberships, or if people achieve their goals, they would have their gym membership covered. Well, some of the gyms are closed, some of them are open, depending on your area. So then how can we then still encourage that they have that stress release? I mean, we know as instructors, especially, people are sitting too long. It's the new smoking. And so, we've got to get them up and we've got to get them moving. Right.
Love it.
I don't know if that speaks to what you were wanting, but.
Yeah, no, like, it's like, I had lots of great ideas on how to like get out of the office.
Yes.
Like that run walk, like we could easily organize like a run walk together, like 5K. We all do it at the same time. We all have our shirts. We deliver a package, a shirt, whatever. We have a logo thing, and we all go on Monday morning, whatever it is. Like we could do that together. There's like yoga online. We already teach yoga online, but we could have special guests, like have people come in and
Love it.
do yoga together, right? We're doing yoga together. So having this togetherness, like doing something together to get people out of their comfort zone, so we can actually experience something together. And then you build connection. Like you build connection through like doing something together, right? For a purpose. Yeah.
So let me speak to that, Yves, because it's really important. This is one that oftentimes gets missed with leaders, is that sometimes they project what they think their people need versus that of getting the input. So if, let's say I'm an athlete, and my people aren't athletes, they're still eating donuts, or they're still doing whatever, or they've got certain habits or whatever. Like now I feel more ashamed if I'm not somebody that's an athlete. So now it's like, oh no, like I'd rather put a fork in my eye. They're going to make me do what? So part of it is, I think, is making it so that it comes from them. Then there's more of a buy-in. There's more of an investment.
Totally agree. Yeah. Totally.
Right. Like, for example, like with one organization, I encourage them, like, how about you do Salad Fridays? Everybody does a potluck. This is obviously when we were physically in the office. So Salad Fridays, but why couldn't you do that online? Okay, let's see what recipe you guys are going to come up with. What do you say we do? How can we? And again, it doesn't have to be that you tell them. You say, look, I'm looking at ways in which maybe I can eat healthier. Is this something for you? Sometimes it's as simple as a Survey Monkey quiz, asking people, here's some things, like use my 4 rooms, like what's kind of jumping out for you? Are you finding you're having difficulty sleeping at night? Maybe we need to build into our staff meeting that we spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes on what are some of the rituals people do to help themselves wind down. And then we can take from the buffet table, what feels right for us. But when we hear from other people, it's powerful. When I hear that, Joe over here, who usually is a top performer, and he's saying he doesn't sleep at night, I think, oh, thank God he's human. I thought he was robotic. Like he just seems to perform all the time. And to hear that he's actually struggling a little bit, not that I feel good that he's struggling, but I realize that, okay, I'm not the only one that maybe struggles in some area.
Yeah, those vulnerabilities allows us to see ourselves within them. It's so important. So important. Oh my gosh, Kate, it is 10:15. We have kept you for 45 minutes. I want to thank you so much. Order The Powerhouse in You. The Powerhouse in You. I love the title of that book. How to lead with greater resilience, courage, and confidence. And don't we all need a little bit of that? Kate Collins, thank you so much for being here with us on this Mindset Monday. And we'd love to have you back again. You are our people. I am Shelley Butler, and you are...
I'm Yves and Cate.
And you are Mindset Monday.
I'm Kate Collins, Powerful Journey.
Thank you.
If you
haven't done so, get your workout in. Love you.
Take care.